So I finally got a chance to see Ant-Man, and I'm sorry, like I'm late to the party, but overall I enjoyed the movie, but I have to admit, I mean, as of now, I've to be fair, I've only seen it once, but as of now, I'll say more of this is one of Marvel's more weaker films. I have to be honest. Um, I prefer Age of Ultron to this. I've only seen this in Age of Ultron once, but I had more fun with Age of Ultron. But this wasn't bad. It wasn't that it was bad. Like it wasn't that I had like that many problems with it. It just felt like, well, overall, at times it did feel underwhelming. Um, that part the underwhelming parts were had to do with the villain once again. Like most of the villains in these movies, in the Marvel Studio films at least, are not memorable or strong. And this is probably one of the more weaker villains. The Yellow Jacket. I like the design of the Yellow Jacket suit. I mean that's cool looking, but the villain himself wasn't great. Wasn't very good. But I mean the movie stars Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, where he's trying to he gets out of jail and he's trying to uh, fix his life up, for his daughter, and for himself as well. And you also have uh, Michael Douglas as Hank Pym, who was the inventor of Ant Man, or the original Ant Man. Um, and I like actually, to be honest, I liked his storyline more than Paul Rudd's storyline. I mean, Hank Pym's storyline more than Scott Lang's storyline. But I did like Scott Lang's storyline. It was fine, but I got more invested with Hank Pym's storyline with him and his daughter Hope. Um, they had a really good scene together where he talks about. I don't want to give it away in case you haven't seen the movie, but where um, he talks about uh, what really happened to Hope's mom, her mother, what he's been hiding for all most of her life, and why he doesn't want her uh, to get involved with the whole Ant Man. But I mean, he's helping her. I mean, no, she's helping him, but he doesn't want her to actually be in the suit and do what Paul Rudd is supposed to be doing. Once you get there, once you get to that part in the film where they meet each other, and then he pretty much recruits um, Scott Lang into being Ant Man, and going into the building, and sneaking in and defeating the villain, all that stuff. Um, the heist, the heist itself was good, but I did feel like it could have been better. Um, uh, and I would say like the actors for the most part did a good job. Paul Rudd did a good job. He was funny and likable. Um, Michael Douglas did a really good job. The actress, I think her name, uh, Eva, oh shoot, Evangel, Evangeline Lilly. I think that's her name. Who played the daughter Hope, the daughter of Michael Douglas. She did a good job. I really liked her scenes with her, Michael Douglas, and with Paul Rudd. They had good chemistry together. Uh, Michael Pena, I don't want to be biased, but I thought he was the best part of the film. He was really funny, and I like the scenes where there's two scenes in the movie where uh, he explains how you heard about thing. He explains to Paul Rudd, to Scott, about the first thing he explains to him is like, okay, how do you hear about this gig they're trying to get about stealing these uh, stealing from this safe they think has a lot of money, and how he explains it. I really like the way it was done, where you see like kind of like flashbacks, and I like the music they choose. I think the music they had Jackie Brown, which was cool to see. Um, and like I didn't want to bring this up, but I kind of have to. When it comes to Edgar Wright, because I don't want to go into that much, but which by the way he is credited for writing. Okay, but that whole sequence with Michael Pena, how he explains the thing, heist in the music, that part did feel very Edgar Wright-ish. So maybe I'm pretty sure that's one of the few things they kept from his original draft. But I thought Peyton Reed did a pretty good job. I mean, for a guy who's never done this type of film, he did a decent job. But the rest of the actors I haven't mentioned, they're all right. You do get a extended cameo from, and this is not a spoiler because they showed it in the commercials. You get extended cameo from Anthony Mackie as the Falcon. He has a fight scene with the Ant-Man, which is alright. And the action, like when you first see Scott Lang shrink, that whole action set piece was really cool to see. Every time he shrunk and you saw him, either like from the first time or in the middle of the film when he's training with the little ants, or at the end of the film with the heist, or the fight scene with the villain. That was really well done. I really like those scenes, but when you see it for the very first time, I have to admit I did get reminded of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, because every time that was the only thing I could compare it to. But I really like how it was done in this movie. It was really cool to see the shrinking scenes. But overall, I mean, the story was fine for what it was, but I wouldn't call it one of the best Marvel films, the Marvel Studio films. Like I said, I preferred Age of Ultron a little bit more. I thought it had more going for it. And I wouldn't even consider Age of Ultron, top 5 best Marvel Studio films. That says a lot. But Ant-Man, for what it was, it was decent. I just would, it wasn't that strong. The story wasn't that strong, I would say. But the action was fun. It was fine. And fun. I like the whole training montage where he trains with the ants. I thought that was pretty cool. But like I said, the villain, that part was weak about the film, and I didn't really care that much, to be honest. I mean, the actor, I've seen him in other things, but he wasn't very menacing or memorable. But I did like I would say, like, the design of the Yellow Jacket was cool. That was the only part of the villain that I liked. The design of the Yellow Jacket, that was pretty cool. I would say I think he was even cooler than the costume of the Ant-Man. I do like the costume of the Ant-Man. That was good too. But the Yellow Jacket suit it's pretty cool, and the villain himself does not, match the coolness of the costume. I'll say that, and I'll leave it at that when it comes to the villain. Um, but the Scott Lang storyline about his daughter, that worked fine. I liked how they wrapped it up for the most part. But like, I don't want to give too much away, but the villain does something around the end after the heist that I was like, I kind of felt that came out of nowhere. But the ending fight was good anyway. I'll say, with the where you see the Thomas the Train, I thought that was fun. And there's this really funny bit where they mention, I don't want to give too much away, but where they mention about how Ant-Man has these things where he can shrink him and make him grow. And I love how they use that, those devices at the end of the film. I thought that was really funny. But overall, I'll say it's a decent film. I enjoyed it. Again, I pretty much enjoyed all the Marvel Studio films. There has not been one Marvel Studio film I haven't enjoyed, but Ant-Man, it's good, but it's not one of the best ones. It's the concept itself is one of the more unique, I'll say, of the other movies. It's definitely a little bit more unique than Thor or Captain America, but the movie itself is, it's just decent. And the humor worked. Most of the actors did a good job. The action scenes were the shrinking scenes. Those were the best action set pieces. The special effects were fine. But the villain stuff was kind of weak, and the story was decent, but it wasn't great. And of course, there's after credit scenes. There's a setup for a possible Ant-Man sequel if they choose to, or they just choose to use that and bring it into other films that have the Ant-Man character in it. And then there's another credit scene where pretty much it's a scene from Civil War, which they're setting up how Ant-Man's gonna play into Civil War, which I thought that was was fine. And well, that's it. I mean, like I said, Ant-Man was a good movie. I enjoyed watching it, and I'm curious to see how he fits in with the other characters. That'll be interesting to see. But I don't know where I would rank this with the other films. Like I said, it's one of the more weaker ones, but I still enjoy it anyway. Because I consider Iron Man 2 the weakest one. The first Avenger. Thor: The Dark World. Like, honestly, honestly, I like it better than Iron Man 2 and First Avenger. I don't know. I'll say if I like him better than Thor 1 or 2, to be honest. But like I said, I've only seen the one, so that's not really fair. But whatever. And because since I like this movie, I probably would never, ever kill another ant in my life ever again. Because ants, they're hard workers. They're just trying to work hard. They're not trying to bother anyone. Fucking ant. God damn it. Oh. Adios.